I've always been a fitness enthusiast. The gym was my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the stresses of everyday life and focus on building a better version of myself. So, when I heard about Iron Haven Gym, a small, locally owned fitness center that had recently opened in my neighborhood, I couldn't resist checking it out. The first time I walked through the gym's doors, I was immediately impressed. The place had state-of-the-art equipment, a welcoming atmosphere, and a friendly staff. It seemed like the perfect place to work on my fitness goals. Little did I know that my decision to join Iron Haven would lead to an experience I would never forget. My first few weeks at Iron Haven were uneventful. I followed my workout routine diligently, made some new gym buddies, and felt great about my progress. But as time passed, strange things began to happen. It started with the lights flickering for no apparent reason, and the temperature in the gym would drop dramatically, making it feel like a freezer. At first, I dismissed these occurrences as mere electrical glitches and chalked them up to the old building's wiring. One evening, I was working out alone, the gym almost empty except for a few die-hard night owls like me. I was on the bench press, struggling with the weight, when I heard a faint whisper. I assumed it was a fellow gym-goer talking to a friend, but when I looked around, I was the only one in the vicinity. A chill ran down my spine as I realized that the gym was eerily silent, and the whisper seemed to be coming from nowhere. I tried to shrug it off and continued with my workout, but the strange occurrences only intensified. I would hear footsteps echoing through the empty gym when there was no one around, and the weight plates on the machine seemed to move on their own. One night, as I was doing squats, I glanced in the mirror and saw a shadowy figure standing behind me. I quickly turned around, but there was no one there. Fear started to gnaw at me, but I refused to let it keep me away from my beloved gym. I convinced myself that it was all in my head, that my overactive imagination was playing tricks on me. But then, one fateful night, I experienced something that I couldn't explain away. I was doing a late-night cardio session on the treadmill, trying to clear my mind of the growing unease. The gym was empty, and the only sound was the rhythmic thud of my sneakers on the treadmill. Suddenly, the treadmill's speed increased on its own, and I struggled to keep up. Panic surged through me as I reached for the emergency stop button, but it wouldn't work. The treadmill continued to accelerate, and I felt myself being propelled forward, unable to control my pace. I screamed for help, but my voice seemed to get swallowed by the gym's ominous silence. The walls around me started to blur, and I felt like I was being pulled into some kind of vortex. Just when I thought I couldn't hold on any longer, the treadmill finally shut off, sending me crashing to the floor. Gasping for air, I stumbled to my feet and looked around. The gym was back to its normal state, the lights flickering as if nothing had happened. I was trembling, covered in sweat, and my heart raced as I tried to comprehend what had just occurred. It was as if the gym itself had come alive, trying to swallow me whole. I knew I had to get to the bottom of these bizarre events, so I started researching the history of Iron Haven Gym. What I discovered sent shivers down my spine. It turned out that the building had a dark and mysterious past. Decades ago, it had been a funeral home, and there were rumors of strange occurrences and unexplained deaths associated with the place. The gym had been built on the same grounds, and it seemed that the restless spirits of the past were still haunting the building. Desperate to put an end to the nightmare, I enlisted the help of a local paranormal investigator. Together, we conducted a thorough investigation of Iron Haven Gym. We used various tools and techniques to communicate with any potential spirits lingering in the building. As we delved deeper into our investigation, we encountered chilling evidence of paranormal activity. During a late-night session, we captured eerie EVP, electronic voice phenomena, recordings that seemed to be messages from the other side. The voices whispered my name and begged for release. The investigators' equipment showed spikes in electromagnetic activity, indicating the presence of a powerful energy. As our investigation continued, it became clear that the gym was a hotspot for supernatural activity. We consulted with experts in the field of paranormal research, and they advised us to perform a cleansing ritual to free the trapped spirits. With their guidance, we conducted a ceremony to help the restless souls find peace and move on to the afterlife. After the cleansing ritual, the strange occurrences at Iron Haven Gym gradually ceased. The lights stopped flickering, the temperature stabilized, and the gym regained its peaceful. The gym had always been my sanctuary, a place where I could escape the trials and tribulations of daily life. I relished the sound of weights clinking, the hum of treadmills, and the camaraderie of fellow gym-goers. But all that changed the day I encountered the mirror of desolation. It happened on a gloomy, rain-soaked afternoon. The gym was nearly empty, save for a few die-hard fitness enthusiasts like myself. I had just finished a grueling set of deadlifts and decided to take a breather. I made my way to the stretching area, which was tucked away in a dimly lit corner of the gym. As I reached for my water bottle, I noticed a peculiar mirror against the far wall. Unlike the other mirrors in the gym, this one had an ornate antique frame that seemed out of place in the modern fitness center. Its glass was tarnished and slightly cracked, and it emitted an eerie, iridescent glow that drew me closer. Curiosity got the best of me, and I stepped in front of the mirror, examining my reflection. At first, everything appeared normal. I saw my sweat-drenched gym attire, my tired but determined expression, and the weightlifting equipment behind me. But then, as I gazed deeper into the mirror, I noticed something peculiar. My reflection began to change. It was subtle at first, but soon, my own image started to contort and twist. My face contorted into a grotesque, anguished mask, and my body seemed to wither before my eyes. Panic coursed through me as I watched my reflection transform into a gaunt, emaciated version of myself, as if it were draining away my very life force. I stumbled back from the mirror, my heart pounding in my chest. The mirror of desolation had shown me a horrifying vision of my own demise, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it held some malevolent power over me. I tried to rationalize what I had seen. Perhaps it was a trick of the light or a hallucination brought on by exhaustion. But when I looked back at the mirror, my reflection had returned to normal. I felt a chill run down my spine, and a sense of foreboding washed over me. Over the following days, I couldn't stop thinking about the mirror. I became obsessed with it, returning to the gym day after day to confront the eerie glass. Each time, my reflection would distort, showing me a different vision of suffering and decay. It was as if the mirror reveled in tormenting me, showing me my worst fears come to life. I confided in a friend about the mirror, and they dismissed it as a mere curiosity, urging me to let it go. But I couldn't. The mirror had cast a dark spell over me, and I needed to uncover its secrets. One fateful evening, as I stood before the mirror once more, I noticed a strange inscription etched into the frame. It was in a language I didn't recognize, a series of intricate symbols that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. I realized that the mirror was more than just a piece of decor. It was a relic of something ancient and sinister. Desperation and fear drove me to seek the guidance of a paranormal investigator. Together, we delved into the mirror's history, uncovering a tale of dark rituals and malevolent spirits. It was said that the mirror had once belonged to a cult that used it to commune with the supernatural, harnessing its power to invoke curses and wreak havoc. Determined to break the mirror's curse, we performed a ritual to banish the malevolent entity trapped within. The ceremony was fraught with danger as the mirror fought back, distorting and contorting as if in agony. But with each incantation and protective ward, we weakened its grip on my soul. Finally, as the last words of the ritual were uttered, the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards. The moment I stepped into Dusk Fitness, a shiver ran down my spine. Unlike any other gym I had ever been to, this place felt dark and foreboding. The gym was situated in an old, dilapidated building on the outskirts of town, far from prying eyes. It was rumored to have changed ownership multiple times, each owner vanishing without a trace. But my obsession with fitness led me to ignore the ominous tales and give it a try. On my first visit, I was greeted by the unsettling sight of ancient, rusted exercise equipment. The weights clanged together with a discordant melody that echoed through the gym, making my skin crawl. The dim lighting cast long, eerie shadows that seemed to dance in the corners of the room. As I began my workout, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every time I looked in the mirrors that lined the walls, I caught glimpses of shadowy figures lurking in the darkness. I thought it was my imagination playing tricks on me. But as the days turned into weeks, the eerie occurrences grew impossible to ignore. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the basement, chilling me to the bone. I whirled around, my flashlight beam trembling, and caught sight of a grotesque, shadowy figure with hollow eyes and elongated limbs. It let out another agonizing scream, and I fled, scrambling up the stairs and out of the basement as fast as my trembling legs could carry me. As I reached the main gym floor, I realized that the gym had transformed. The walls were oozing a black, viscous substance that seemed to be alive. The equipment rattled and groaned as if possessed by malevolent forces. The shadows that had once lurked in the corners now stretched and writhed, forming grotesque shapes on the walls. The gym itself seemed to come alive, with weights levitating and slamming to the ground and exercise machines moving on their own. I was trapped in a nightmarish hellscape, surrounded by the tortured souls of the gym's past victims. Desperation gripped me as I searched for a way out. I could feel the malevolent presence closing in, suffocating me. But then, as if guided by some unseen force, I stumbled upon a hidden trapdoor leading to the attic. I climbed the rickety stairs to the attic, which was equally horrifying. The walls were covered in arcane symbols, and the air was thick with an otherworldly energy. In the center of the room stood a sinister altar, adorned with candles that burned with an unnatural blue flame. In a last-ditch effort, I used my trembling hands to extinguish the candles. As the flames died, a deafening scream pierced the air, and the gym convulsed in agony. The shadows retreated and the black substance retracted into the walls. Gasping for breath, I emerged from the attic, and to my amazement, Dusk Fitness had returned to its decrepit but ordinary state. The gym's dark history seemed to have been exorcised, at least for the time being. I left Dusk Fitness, vowing never to return. The horrors I had witnessed there would haunt me forever, a grim reminder that some places should remain abandoned, and some secrets should never be unearthed. Dusk Fitness had shown me the true meaning of terror, and I would carry the scars of that experience with me for the rest of my life.